Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Five Door Media Podcast. We are in season 5, where we are diving deep into the most important and often overlooked parts of running a cleaning business: the numbers. From cash flow to profit margins, payroll to pricing, the season is all about building financial clarity and confidence. Today's guest is someone who's made it her mission to help small business owners understand and love their numbers. Meaghan Likes is the founder of Likes Accounting, where she helps cleaning and home service businesses simplify their finances, increase profitability, and reclaim their time. She's also the creator of the Bookkeeping Academy online, where she teaches business owners how to do their own bookkeeping efficiently and confidently without feeling overwhelmed and confused. Meaghan brings a unique mix of accounting experience, entrepreneurial experience, and a deep understanding of the home service world. Her goal is not just to help you file taxes, it is to help you build wealth, run profit first, and actually enjoy your business. Crazy idea. In this episode, we'll be talking what every cleaning business owner needs to know about their numbers, how to create systems for profitability, and how to use financial data to make smarter decisions, not just survive tax season. Meaghan, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you.
Thanks, Drew. Good to see you. I'm so excited to be on.
You too.
Like season
I know
5.
it's a long time coming.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, season 5, we finally got to the money season. I think you sent me a text like months ago, like a little jab. Hey, why haven't you had your friend Megan on a show yet? I'm like, oh, I've got it planned. Like, there's a season about numbers. You'll be on then. She's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I just thought you didn't want to have me on. I'm like, no, it's fine. That's not what it was.
You kept asking me for guest recommendations like, hello, I'm right here. Pick me. So
Yes. Well, here you are.
happy to be
We are in the numbers season. Here we are. Happy to have you here.
Well,
Let's get into it.
yeah.
So, like I like to say on the show, let's set the scene. Let's get real about numbers and finances in the cleaning industry. You work with cleaning business owners and home service business owners all the time. What would you say is like the biggest financial blind spot or challenge that you see when you first start working with them?
Mm, I think a lot of people lie to themselves about the numbers. I think it's
Okay.
just like a very emotional thing where we get caught up in the bravado of like I think we're talking to like maid service owners here on the podcast. I own a window cleaning company. I know there are other cleaning companies listening to this as well, but in maid service specifically, you guys get really enchanted by that run rate. Like run rate is this really sexy number for you to talk about. It's kind of like revenue, but it's not even real actualized revenue. It's more like if every week were exactly like this week or every month were exactly like this month, then I would have blah blah blah. Well, I wish it
In the marketing agency world, I can't relate to that at all. By the way, we're not like that at all in the marketing
never
agency
a
world.
thing. No.
Yeah.
Bookkeeping actually quite similar, right? Like recurring revenue. But I wish that we would get really excited about that bottom line number, right? Because I think what happens is, especially if you're a fast growing company, which I have a feeling most of these listeners are, is they're really motivated by growth and they're really excited about growth. When you're growing fast, it's really easy to start telling yourself this lie or this cycle about, well, it takes money to make money. Well, if I
Mm,
just made this other investment, then I'd be able to do this thing, and, "Oh, I just closed these clients, so I have the run rate to support it." Well, I wish we talked more about cash, like cash balances or our own pay, like how much we're making as the owner because 'cause we're working so hard. Or our like, I call them technicians, you might call them cleaners, but our staff pay. Like, why aren't we really excited about they're making 2 times a living wage, right? Or 3 times a living wage or 1.5 times a living wage, or even knowing what a living wage is in our state, right? So I think blind spots tend to be we get really excited about sales, which you can't
mhm,
spend. We get pretty excited about revenue if it was annualized, which again, can't guarantee because the dark side of that run rate is churn, right?
mhm.
And
Nothing's perfect.
nothing's
Yeah.
perfect. And so, yeah, I wish that we could just be a little bit more real about what's important. What's the bottom
And
line?
I like how you said we lie to ourselves, because I think that's a blunt truth that a lot of people need to hear. And I feel like we lie to ourselves about other things in life too. Um, what is it about money that makes it easy for us to lie to ourselves about money? Because the thing we all know, we're all adults, right? Legally as well, I guess. Running these businesses, we know what lying to ourselves does in the long run. It gets us in like big trouble, right? And especially when it comes to money. If you're lying about like where you think you are financially and where you're at cash flow wise and profit wise, we know that's not going to end well. What is it about money that you think makes it so easy for us to lie about it and like not just be honest with ourselves about where we might be standing?
I think there's a lot of fear around money. And I think, like, money's kind of a dirty word, and it's something that we don't talk about, and it's kinda dark and scary, and, I think there's a reason that we talk about sales, and I think there's a reason that we talk about bravado because that feels safe. Talking about personal finances doesn't feel safe. Like, I don't hear anybody in the bar bragging about their cash balances. I don't hear anybody in the bar bragging about how much their salary is from their company. You know,
Yeah.
I think there's something about, like, profit's still a dirty word, which I hate. And maybe there's also a lot of our clients, they tell themselves that they're bad at math, and people associate math
Mhm.
and money. So I'm bad at math, so I'm bad at money, and I don't understand it, and all I understand is how to check my bank balance every day, and I don't like the answer, so I'm just not gonna talk about it.
And not probably knowing what to do in the short term or the long term to how to fix that. I think because it gets overwhelming because we've talked a lot about this season. Other people have brought that up too. That people equate it to math, and I think you're right. And I think a lot of people in this cleaning industry. I think I've heard stories they kind of accidentally became entrepreneurs. They kind of like accidentally became business owners and like they maybe started cleaning a few houses and then it just picked up because their neighbors told their neighbors and then their neighbors told their and the next thing you know you're a few years in with a staff and a lot of times maybe that person wasn't great at math in high school so they equate that to I didn't do well in algebra, how the heck am I going to like run the finances for now a company that apparently I own, right? And it kind of like snowballs into this responsibility that they didn't know they were signing up for to begin with, and then that equates to like past what they think is good at math, which in reality it's not super similar, right? Like no crazy math needs to take place to, run the finances of business. And I love you talk a lot about making accounting, and I've heard you obviously speak. I've been in conversations with you for years now. Like you talk a lot about making accounting simple and fun, right? Like I think you do a really good job of helping people not be overwhelmed by this. I love listening to like your budget workshops and you're like, this isn't rocket science. We're not asking you to do trigonometry, right? We're like, get a calculator out if you need to, but maybe you don't even need a calculator to do this. What does that look like for a busy cleaning company business owner? How do they make accounting simple and fun?
Yeah, I love this question because I think we have a habit of overcomplicating things. And especially as entrepreneurs, I know I definitely am the queen of it. I can overcomplicate the shit out of anything, really.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But there's also this idea that, like, well, I'm really good at blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to focus on blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, here's the reality. Nobody really, except for a very teeny tiny percentage of the population, says, I'm really good at accounting. So put me in, coach. Like, that's a very rare breed. And if that's you,
Yeah.
I am hiring right now for multiple companies that could use some good accountants. So go ahead and just send me a DM if you say, like, I wake up every day excited to do accounting. No, that is not normal. There is not a single business owner that I know that is like, accounting is sexy and fun.
My favorite part of the week. Yeah.
No, not at all. But there's this, like, discipline part of entrepreneurship that I think we could also talk about a lot. And the discipline part is if we are truly sitting in that owner seat, which is, that's not it's not a guaranteed seat. It's kind of an honor, right? It's kind of a
Mm.
privilege to sit in the owner seat. You are sitting in the owner seat and you're truly an owner. Well, there are a bunch of people probably that have entrusted you with their livelihoods, that have entrusted you with their families. And now that responsibility means that it is your job to understand the numbers of the company to make sure that you protect those people that show up every day. And I wish that we thought about with weight like that because you probably wouldn't avoid it. If you thought about it like that, like, this
Yeah.
is their careers, this is their livelihoods, and this is your job. Like, you cannot delegate the money of your company to anyone, not even to Likes Accounting. You cannot delegate it to anyone. It is as an owner, your responsibility. Like, maybe at a very sophisticated level of business, which I have the pleasure of having a couple businesses that are, like, level 5 businesses, maybe you can have a controller on staff, but at the end of the day, as the owner, it's still my responsibility to make sure there's enough cash there, to make sure there's enough revenue there, to make sure we're profitable, to make sure that we are gonna be here a month from now, 6 months from now, and it's also my responsibility to make sure I'm paying my people well.
Yeah.
Now there is some
And
math to guarantee those results, and that math doesn't have to be complicated. We can talk about that math, but first, let's talk about, like, this is a privilege to own a business. It is a responsibility to employ people, and it is your job to make sure you don't run out of money. Like, end of the day, everything else is noise. Like, my job, don't run out of money. Don't fuck it
yeah.
up. That's what I say. Don't screw it up. Like, that's my job.
Yeah, and we talked about that word profit. Unfortunately, it's become like a gross word, right? Or it's like a four-letter word, and but at the same time, and that profit does not have to equal greed, right? Let's just get that out into the atmosphere. Like, profit does not equal greed. Profit equals sustainability. And your people who work. Somebody I was on a podcast with not too long ago. They said, "Who in the world wants to work for a company that is not profitable?" Like, who would take pride in their job working for a company that, like, yeah, we're not really making money right now? Like, that's a red flag. Those people are going to be like running out the door looking for something else. So there's a stigma in our brains when we talk about profit, we talk about profitability as business owners. We think we're going to be met with like, oh, that's just the greedy owner. He's just taking all the money for himself, or something like that. But the reality of it, no, the people who work for you want you to be profitable, right? They want to know about those things because you can't run a healthy company without profit, right? Say more on that because you're in those conversations a lot. And is that a stigma that you're seeing with the business owners you work with, that they're scared to talk about profit? Whether that be maybe they don't even know what their profit is, and that's another issue. But let's say they figured it out, right? Their P&L is great, is clean, is clear, it's under control. We know what we're doing. We know how much money we're profiting. Do you still see them like shy away from that number? And how do you coach them through that?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I have a good friend, and she might listen to this. She's in the cleaning industry. I am not gonna say her name, and I was once in her shop, and she started whispering to me about her lake house. And I was like, "Why are we whispering?" And she's like, "They don't know." And I was like, Why is that? Why don't they know?" And she's like, "Well, I don't want them to think that I make too much money." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Well, I just, I'm nervous about it." And I don't know to this day if she listens to this, tell me if you've changed your mind about this. But for me, I want to celebrate making more money. And I
Yeah.
hope that my ethics are aligned that when I make more money, they make more money. And in all of my companies, I say it's a blank check. I will always say yes to paying you more when presented with how it makes me more. So I want to have this culture of winning. I want to have this culture of excellence. I want to have this culture of making more. And not because we're stealing from anybody. I'm not stealing from my technicians or my cleaners. I'm not stealing from my clients. I'm just doing what real business is, which is being really good at math so that I can stick around. Now, it takes the word discipline, we're going to say it again, to not spend the profitability. Like,
Mm,
if I'm telling my cleaners, yeah, I need to have this much in profitability because I want to be around next year. Well, I need to have the discipline to leave that in the company so I can be around next year. Right.
yeah.
Um, if I tell my cleaners that I'm going to grow this so that I can pay them all 6 figures, which is a goal at Jeff Likes Cleanos, like every one of our cleaners should be making 6 figures, uh, then I need to save some money in there so that I can have a marketing budget. So I can have money to invest in new vehicles. So I can have money to invest in overhead positions around sales. Like, I need to have money to invest back in the business. And the way I do that is by being profitable. And so
Mm,
when I think about, like, I had to get rid of the ego because I couldn't scale this many companies at the level I'm scaling them without, like, because it's not me. I don't clean windows all day, right?
yeah.
Every single time we have a staff lunch, I thank the technicians. I'm like, thanks guys for lunch today. And they'll look at me because usually I'm the girl and I bring it in. And they like, so we were saying, like, well, I didn't buy lunch. You guys did. I wasn't in a truck this morning. I haven't driven revenue in this company for a long
Yeah.
time. Like, if you can shift that culture of we're all on the same team, there's no secrets here, there's no dirty words, and making money is a good thing because the more I make, well, trust me, the more you're going to make. Or you should put
Mm,
that, you know, I want them to make more because I know I'm going to make more. And that's a good thing. And it's
yeah.
aligned. So
Everybody wins. Yeah.
everybody wins. And I think we overcomplicate that often, and we shouldn't. We absolutely shouldn't. And the other thing I'm going to say, which you may be listening to this and be like, I'm not ready to hear this fact, but I'm just going to say I said it. We do open books policies for our companies because here's my theory. Once a year with my entire company, for every company that I'm an owner, I show them how much I make because they're already guessing. They are already,
Did you hear that pen drop, by the way? Yeah.
I
That's good.
show them my W-2. I show them the whole P&L because they're already guessing in their head. I live in a nice
Mhm.
house. I have a nice lifestyle. They already think I'm rich. So I might as well tell them how much I'm making because I'm not ashamed of it. And if I just take back that power of shame and guilt and greed
Mm.
and I put it back into play, it's like it's that transparency buys trust. And then when your people trust you, they will go to battle for you. Right? And they trust me that I want them to make more. They trust me that I smile when their checks are big. They trust me that I am championing them to build the life that they want to build. And I do not take it lightly that they're choosing to build that life with me at my company.
I love that. Very cool. Bold statements already on the show today. I love it. Let's talk about like building the financial systems that work, because obviously whoever's listening to this, they are busy. They have a staff, they're growing, they're trying to they know they need to be more serious about the finances in their business, but they're like, yeah, but when? I've got so much going on. I have to hire people, I have to fire people, I have to retain people, I have to buy the products and the chemicals to do the stuff. Oh, a car broke down today. I need to go get that. Like, there's obviously so much going on. Let's talk about building systems that can work for them. For a company, maybe in the cleaning industry, doing let's say $500,000 top line revenue to 2 million in revenue top line. What financial systems or habits or rhythms or rituals would you say are non-negotiables? And how often should those things be happening?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I believe that we could simplify business down to 10 numbers. We could probably even simplify business down to 5 numbers. Every business just needs to look at 5 numbers. But that's not the hard part. Like, you could Google KPIs in business and look at hundreds of numbers. So I'm gonna give you the 5, don't worry, I'm not gonna leave you hanging, but here's where people fall off. They don't look at them regularly. So we look at
Yeah.
every person that works for me in every one of my companies now, and I have a company that does 8 million in revenue, and we just did this across their entire team. They have daily KPIs that say that they did a good job. Every person in the company has 1 to 5 numbers every day that says, "Gold star, you crushed it today." And it's my job as the CEO and visionary to cast that vision, to set the big goal, and then to show before I'm allowed to recruit for any position, what is the number that success would look like for the reason that I have that position in the company. And so there are tons of KPIs. We can spread them out across bunches of people. Um, but the simple version is you got to choose your top 5 of the entire company as a whole, you as the owner, and then you got to look at them every week. I travel 40 weeks a year, but I look at these numbers for every company every week because then it tells me where do I need to look? What department struggled last week? What department needs some brags this week? What department do I need to give energy to? Because I cannot do all the things you just described. I'm actively owner of, I think it's 11 companies now. It's constantly changing, right? Hundreds of employees now. It's really intense how this is going, how my career has shifted. I cannot be everywhere all at once. But I can look at 5 numbers every week and I can give energy to a number that is doing really well and I can give coaching to a number that needs correction. And then I get to choose where I'm going to put that energy and how I'm going to focus. But those 5 numbers that I like to look at you guys will be like, "This is stupid simple," is that average ticket. So, like, what is an average cleaning? I care a lot about that. That number is really, really important. Then there's we can you can go into how these numbers are calculated, but the other thing I really like to look at is booking rate. So this is something that Drew and I talk about a lot. Drew does marketing for me. Drew and I have been through battles in marketing. We've been through cycles of marketing. We have been through good times and good seasons and bad seasons and good platforms and bad platforms. But if you're listening to this, what I love is Drew cares about my booking rate more than I do. Drew has personally listened to calls. I'm not saying he's gonna do this for every client, but to help me
Appreciate that. Yeah.
validate booking rate because booking rate is so incredibly important. And if you're listening to this, you're like, what is a booking rate? If you are paying for advertising, the booking rate is the number of leads you got compared to the number of estimates you were able to give out. And if you're paying for advertising on a platform like Meta, your booking rate's probably much lower than you think it is. So I got 100 leads. Great. How many estimates did I actually give? So I love that booking rate percentage, especially if you're spending money on advertising, because it tells you how many leads do you need. Because one of the things I love about this relationship with Drew is like his job is to get me leads, right? My job is to convert those leads into money in my bank account. If I don't do my job, then it looks like he didn't do his job. And this is a partnership. And we talk a lot about that partnership. So the booking rate is incredibly important. And the other one is that close rate or the conversion rate. So that's like now I've given the estimate to the client. How was my sales pitch? How is my sales strategy? How's my follow up strategy? So, how many of those estimates actually turn into invoices? Usually at that point, Drew kind of tunes out because that's up to me. Like, okay, he's fine. He's like, got me the lead, and then I don't let him off the hook until I get the estimate. I'm like, you are on the hook until I give the estimate. After the estimate, though, it's all my fault. So then we get the estimate. I got to close that estimate. I got to convert that client, and I got to get money in my bank account. Right? That's really important. So it takes me to my next number, which is money in the bank account. It's a really important KPI that people often just skirt over, but do I have enough
Mm.
cash to keep going? Do I have a problem with cash? Most business owners that we work with at Likes Accounting, when they come to us, they tend to have less than 5 days worth of operating cash.
Jeez.
That is the reality of the current situation in the United States.
Yeah.
75% of businesses are failing, and they are failing. Drew and I, we used to fight about this. I don't know if we're gonna fight about it today, but I say they're failing because they can't actually control the money. They can't have the discipline on the spending. They refuse to look into what's going on, and they run out of cash. And we used to fight because he would say, "Oh, because 'cause they're bad at marketing." And I'm like, "Okay, those are definitely related, but you gotta have money in the bank to pay the people to keep playing the
Yeah.
game." So we talked about what did we say? We said average ticket, we said booking rate, we said conversion rate, we said cash balance, and then I like to say revenue. So I don't care about sales, I don't care about run rate, I care about revenue.
Yeah.
Hardcore actualized revenue. And I think you can back into sales from conversion rate, you can back into marketing metrics from booking rate, you can back into net profit from cash in the bank. But those 5 numbers, if you looked at them every single week in your business and you just tried to improve one, totally different game. And we only focus on one KPI a quarter, and the entire company focuses on the same KPI. You might be like, how can the whole company work on booking rate? Well, we could have a whole podcast about that, right? How can the whole company focus on cash? We could have a whole podcast about that. But
Yeah.
to me, I think a lot of business owners, they get lost in all these distracted metrics and KPIs and places to look, and you've overcomplicated it. And if you can't bother to look at all 5 of those every week, just choose one and make it get better. Week after week, did my average ticket go up? Did my booking rate go up? Did my conversion rate go up? Did my cash balance go up? That's it. Game against yourself. One number, 1 week at a time.
Love that. One brick by brick is something I say a lot, right? Do it brick by brick. Can't build a whole house with one brick. You got to do it brick by brick. So yes, those are fantastic KPIs to track. Let's talk about like how, and like what tools or automations do you recommend to help, keep the books clean and current, but also like those KPIs current and clean. Like, are there certain tools or automations that you recommend for that?
Um,
Or just having an awesome assistant that can like show up to you with a scorecard
no, no,
every
no,
Monday to show you
just paper.
paper. Okay.
right? Like I mean, I love software. I love automations. I am an automation queen. You can overcomplicate the shit out of this. But the reality is just write down every Monday morning what was revenue last week. Okay. Compare it to what it should have been. Okay. What am I going to do different this week to make revenue better? Don't be complicated. Just go log into whatever system you do to look at revenue or bank balance. Okay, I'm going to log into my bank account, write down my cash
Yeah,
balance, and I'm going to write it on the same sheet week after week so I can see if I'm doing better or worse. Now, of course,
I
I
love it.
have spreadsheets. I have two full-time spreadsheet people and staff. We put things in, but don't get lost in the tools. Don't go spend more money on software. Just write it down. Figure out how you want to calculate it. I play in a software called Service Titan a lot. They have 27 different verified ways to calculate average ticket. I could care less. I care about what makes sense to you, what average ticket means to you, and that you calculate the same way every week and you do better. That's it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's keep the conversation going about profit. You're a big advocate of the profit first approach. How can cleaning companies apply this in a practical way, especially when cash flow feels tight, which it sounds like 75% of companies in this country, cash flow is tight, right? We're running paycheck to paycheck in a way, our companies, we could say. How do you approach that in a responsible way that also isn't just horrifying to a business owner to move into this profit first approach?
Yeah, just start. Like, if you are sitting there, go buy the book and actually do it. Just start. Like, that's it. So, step 1, go open bank accounts. Step 2, put all revenue into a bank account where nothing can come out of it. Step 3, in order to spend the money that came in the revenue account, you have to transfer some to a profit account. That's it. And start with 1%. The book says if you are negative, you start with 1%. Nobody will miss 1%. And every quarter we creep it up 1%. Fun little hack at Likes Accounting. We say we will increase your bottom line by at least 4% in the first year. Well, because 1% a quarter is 4% and nobody feels it. It's a teeny tiny bit at a time. Now, if it feels like, Megan, I'm so negative, I will feel 1%, then there's a lot more radical steps we can take in profit first. But yeah, I usually say like it's so simple. The hard part is committing to starting.
Starting it.
The
Yep.
hard part is going to the bank, opening those bank accounts. I hate going to the bank. If anybody's listening to this and you really my bank is so nice. They have cookies and balloons and they all love me. And like I'm a huge celebrity at my bank, but I freaking hate it. I mean, it takes like 12 people calling off sick for me to have to go to that bank. I do not like doing it. I don't know what it is. But you have to go to the bank, you have to open the bank accounts, and then you just have to start. And the discipline, the primary rule about profit first is we've separated revenue from spending, and we're not allowed to spend our revenue without saving. That is the core principle of profit first. So you save all your money, it accumulates. So you're not using today's money to pay today's bills, right? You're accumulating revenue. Then, in order to spend it, you've got to put a little bit to savings and you hide that from yourself. And it works.
I think that's such a good point. The 1% is huge because I think the question talked about people that are just horrified. They've heard like the overarching premise of it and they're like, well, profit first. People tell me I'm supposed to have 20% profit. I can't put 20% of every dollar into this other account, but if you start it slow, like you said, 1%, you're not going to miss it. Even if you're in negative, like you won't notice it, right? That's such a good point, and it makes it just an easier thing to start.
Yeah, just start. And, like, we had a client, Likes Accounting, and, like, they celebrated $1,000,000 in that profit account last year. And it was nuts. We were like, "Well, what was the change?" Like, "You just said 1%." And so we just did it slowly but surely. We hit it from ourselves and, like, before we knew it and, like, what will
Yeah.
happen psychologically once you separate the spending from the earning, so that revenue, you will naturally want to protect it. You will suddenly remember, "Holy cow, I went through all of that drama to get that much money. I do not wanna spend it." So there's this psychological component of most of our spending is just done unconsciously. We just swipe the card, that account keeps refilling. With Profit First, you have to fill the account to spend the money, and there is something psychological about filling the account to spend the money. You suddenly feel how much it took to earn the money.
Yeah, and talk about, like, just that discipline and responsibility. Like, that is a moment where you feel that
Yeah.
responsibility, right? Because it's just anything you can do. I mean, I don't know, that people say, like, if you make your bed every morning, that, like, triggers a, brain response, right? Like, it helps you be more disciplined and responsible for the rest of the day. If you work out, like, within the first hour of you waking up, like, that triggers, like, a brain response as well.
I
Um,
do
you
both
know,
of those
eh
things, by the way, and they're such simple hacks. But, like, that
I love
the article, I think it was, like, a Navy SEAL, who gave this graduation speech about the making your bed, and he's like, "Worst case scenario, that's the highlight of your day, you made your freaking bed, but at least you did something that's
yeah,
measurable, tangible, feels good." And same thing with working out. This morning, my workout buddy canceled, and I had started work, like, at 6, and I had every reason to just keep working. Today's a deadline day. It's been very busy. I stayed up very late last night. And, um, and I was like, "Megan, you are gonna feel better. Just get your butt to the gym." And I made it to the gym, and sure enough, I felt better. Like, I already carved out the time. All I had to do was do the
yeah,
thing, make your bed, work out, eat right, drink water. I don't know. Talk to your friends,
I
laugh a
love it.
lot. It's not that hard. Look at your numbers once a week. Stop avoiding.
Well, let's talk about those numbers and, like, specifically the P&L, right? So, like, when you look at a P&L, profit and loss statement, for those listening at home, for a healthy cleaning company, what margins or benchmarks stand out to you as signs of being a financially strong business? And of course, then I'm going to flip that coin. What margins or benchmarks stand out to you as a signs of a weak financially business or financial business?
Yeah, so it's hard for me to talk about industries because every industry is a little bit different. So I know we're talking about cleaning, but in there could be window cleaners, which are different than maid service
Sure.
companies, which is different than commercial service companies. But when I'm looking at a P&L, I have a couple of principles that I always follow. The first one is it can't just have one row of numbers or one column of numbers. So if I've been doing this 22 years is how long I've been helping small business owners. And if I look at a P&L and that P&L has just one column of numbers, I feel like an idiot. It means absolutely nothing to me. I talk to 10,000 business owners a year. One column of numbers means nothing. I can't remember what I had for breakfast. So, step 1 when you're writing that P&L is you gotta make it more than one column of numbers. You have a lot of choices for how you make it more than one column of numbers, but just remember that if you have somebody feeding you one column of numbers, be like, "Megan says she's gonna be an idiot if she looks at it. I'm feeling kind of like an idiot right now. She must be right.
Mm,
How do I not feel like an idiot anymore?" Okay, so that one column of numbers, you can compare it to that same column from last year. Then suddenly your brain is starting to compare and you're like, well, why is that higher? Why is that lower? Like you're being curious about it, right? Or you can toggle this box in QuickBooks that says percentage of income. So you've got one column of numbers, one column of percentages. Suddenly your eyes can be like, why is that percentage so high? Why is that percentage negative? Why is that percentage so low? Is that a good percentage or a bad percentage? I don't know. But you're starting to like question. You're looking for the story your numbers are trying to tell you. My favorite way to look at a P&L is this year to last month, columns by months, because my
yeah,
brain thinks in seasonality. My brain thinks in trends. My brain thinks, especially if I'm a maid service owner, every month should be better than the last month. And I can't remember what I had for breakfast. So how to remember what revenue was last month, I need to remind myself, "Oh, right, look, I did do better. Good job, Megan. You're so smart." Well, that's what happens when I'm looking at a P&L is either good job, Megan, you're so smart, or what the heck are you doing? How did you let that happen? Like, go fix it. And then entrepreneur in me, it's like, I'm gonna go fix it now. And now I know what to fix. So P&L, not one column, multiple columns is just absolutely critical. The other thing is if I'm looking at a P&L and there is not a gross profit, or if revenue is the same as gross profit, you cannot scale your company. And what that means is you don't actually understand how much money you have to spend to make money. And that is a fundamental principle of owning a business is I do not clean windows. I have a very successful window cleaning company, but I have to pay somebody else to go clean the windows, right? So I have my revenue come in, then I have to pay my people to do the thing, and then I probably have to pay for the gas to get there to do the thing, and I probably have to pay for the credit card that gives me the money to I have to pay for the insurance. Like there's all these things I have to pay for as a business owner in order to make that dollar of revenue. I need to understand before I can afford to hire Drew or scale if I have a scalable model. So Drew's question was really good, but it shouldn't be at me, it should be to you, the listener. What is your target gross profit? And what does good look like in your industry? So, in your industry, if good looks like 50% gross profit, then what are you at right now? And how do I fix it? When I look at a business, when I look at a P&L, and again, I talk to 10,000 business owners a year, that number, that gross profit number anchored with an industry benchmark tells me whether that company's priced correctly.
Mm,
If the company is not priced correctly, it has no business selling any more work because you will sell yourself right into bankruptcy. So, knowing if we're priced right for my business, for my people, for my state, for my type of client, whatever it is, that gross profit percentage is so telling. Then the rest is quite simple. The next number I look at on that P&L is my net profit percentage because I call that shot with my budget at the beginning of every year and at the beginning of every month. I decide what my net profit's going to be because I'm disciplined. I know what gross profit should be. I know what net profit's going to be. The difference between those two numbers is how much I'm allowed to spend on overhead. That is a budget. That's it.
mm,
It's like the same thing with, like, eating right. You have a calorie budget. I can eat it
yeah.
whatever I want. I can spend it on whatever I want, but I have to stay within that limit. Otherwise, net profit goes down, and you know what that means? I failed as the owner. I failed as the CEO. I failed as a visionary. I do not deserve to be in business. I do not deserve to employ people. Like, I've lost that right. If I can't preserve net profit, I should not be an employer.
Got it. Let's talk about financial mindsets. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but how much do you think running a profitable business comes down to mindset versus mechanics?
Mm. Well, I do you think mindset drives mechanics?
I think it can.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like I'm a very confident person. I have extreme confidence. I don't know where it comes from, but when I say something, I believe it and then I make it happen. And I think that that lends itself really well to being an entrepreneur. Sometimes I'm falsely confident or too confident, right? But that confidence, people can borrow it. My people who get nervous or who are risk averse, who work with me or work for me, they can borrow confidence from me. So I really like the mindset of being confident that I'm going to make money, that I'm going to be good at money, that I'm going to be profitable. Like these are mantras, right? That
Mhm.
confidence is really healthy. But if it's false confidence, it's probably because I don't have the mechanics to support it. So I have to come in strong, believing in myself, believing in my team, believing in my why. Aaron helped me with my why. That is such a huge anchor point for me. Like every morning I wake up, why am I on this earth? Why do I exist? Why do I deserve to have these wonderful people working with me and trusting me with their lives, right? Why? And then I have to have the mechanics to back up that mindset. And those mechanics actually give me more confidence. It's a very cool cycle of, like, I become more
Yeah.
and more confident, I attract more and more greatness because I think I'm great. And, like, that's my job to wake up and say, I'm pretty great. I feel pretty great. I
Yeah.
think I'm great."
To be confident in the mechanics takes doing the reps of the mechanics, you know? So you just, I don't know, like you said earlier, just freaking start. What mental shifts do you encourage owners to make when it comes to paying themselves or like valuing their own time? Because I think this is it probably always will be a giant question mark in the conversation of finances and running a business, but like people have no clue what to pay themselves, right? They don't know what should the owner take home on a weekly basis. But how do what mental shifts do they have to take, or how do you encourage owners to take those mental shifts to make when it comes to paying themselves?
So they have to start there. I can't help anybody until they start there. Right? I can't even goal set with a business owner until they tell me how much they need to make. And they always look at me like, "Well, you tell me, Megan, how much can I pay myself?" I'm like, "I don't know." I mean, I don't have any kids. I once had a friend, he wasn't a client, but we were very, like, professional, who had 25 kids. I sure as hell hope he pays himself a lot more than I pay myself because he has a lot more
Yeah.
mouths to feed, right? So, how much you need to make is completely personal and dependent on what state you live in, what your lifestyle is, what's important to you, what kind of school
Yeah.
you want your kids to go to, what your background's like, how many people, maybe it's your parents that are dependent on you, maybe it's your grandparents that are dependent on you, maybe you are like this crazy generous person that's feeding like thousands of people every day. I don't know, but that's where you have to start is how much do I have to make as the business owner? And then you can build an entire plan around that. Now on the other side of that, uh, Drew and I met through a mutual friend, Dom Williams. Like I like to say is my best friend. Drew likes to say he's probably his best friend. And this is how we became friends is because we can share Dom and we love him. And Dom used to say that he had to make $100,000 per channel. And I loved that. Like, I have latched onto that with every core of my being because I have tons of side hustles. I have hustles on hustles. I have side hustles on side hustles, but I use this as an anchor point. Dom says, in order for it to get my attention, it needs to bring me personally at least $100,000. Otherwise, it's not worth my time. Do you know what that does to a side hustle? It kills it instantly
Mhm.
because it's really hard to pay an owner $100,000 per drip. That's what he says per drip.
Yeah.
And so if it's not going to make me that much, maybe I should kill it, or maybe I should consolidate in something else, or maybe I should sell it. So since I had that reference point, and that is an absolute arbitrary number, I don't care what the number is
Sure.
true.
Yeah.
But if you ascend entrepreneurship into serial entrepreneurship, it has been a great anchor point for me to not get distracted in distractions. Right. So each business needs to pay me enough to afford to live. And in order for that business to be called a business to be worth my time, it has to be a real number. It can't just be like a little $100 a month set like draw because I had a little pet project of like I once had a photography business and I think it made like, I don't know, $10,000 a year. Like doesn't mean I can't do photography anymore. It means just stop calling it a business, Megan. Stop treating it like a business. That's a hobby. Don't make money from it.
Mhm.
Don't go down the rabbit hole of distraction, right?
And just talk about ego is turning off those things, and ego and pride comes in the way from there, right?
Well, it's an energy thing. I cannot
Yeah.
scale this many businesses all at once. It's impossible.
100%. Let's end this on something I've been doing a lot with just I'm calling it the elevator speech. You've got 60 seconds with a skeptic. You're stuck in an elevator with someone, a cleaning business owner who's nervous about diving into their finances. They don't have the confidence in math that we talked about earlier, or maybe they just don't even know where to start. You got 60 seconds with them. Where do you start? What do you say?
Give me the question. What's the prompt?
You've got 60 seconds in an elevator with a cleaning business owner who's nervous about diving into their finances or doesn't know where to start. What would you say to them?
So the question is like, where do they start?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got 60 seconds to tell somebody where to start because they're afraid.
Hmm.
I would say start where you are. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about your neighbor. Don't worry about your competition. Start exactly where you are, and you have a responsibility to figure out where that is. So if the problem's money in the bank, let's start there. If the problem's pricing, let's start there. If the problem's volume, let's start there. But every person, every business is so unique. It's so special. You have to start where you are. That's the only place to start. And before we can start where we are, we have to really just look in a mirror and be like, where am I? What is
Where are you? Yeah.
you're in an elevator. Okay.
I love it. Very cool. Hey, Megan, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation
Thanks.
today. I think people will listen to this and feel more empowered to take the next step to be more financially responsible inside of their home service business, their cleaning business. Before we wrap, is there a place, the best place where listeners can go to connect with you or learn more about what you're doing at Likes Accounting or your 70 other businesses that you're running?
Before I go there, I just want to tell you listeners that you're doing a great job. Like, you might have just listened to this and felt behind, overwhelmed, maybe dumb at moments. Like, you are not behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You just invested an hour, exactly the way you're supposed to invest an hour. And just know that Drew and I, like, we believe in you and we're rooting for you and we'd love to make ourselves available to you. Like, you're doing really hard stuff. Less than 2% of the population scales above $1 million, especially women owned businesses. And this is hard stuff. It's not for the faint at heart. So just know we're proud of you and you're not alone. There's a whole tribe out there that's cheering you on. And if you'd like to connect with me, I hang out on Facebook a lot. I know that's dating me now, and that's probably not the cool place to be, but my name's Megan Likes or Meg Likes Money. And I'd love to connect with you and see how we can help you, build the dream business that you've been trying to build where money's not a dirty word.
I love it. Very cool. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to share it with a business owner that you know. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned about the cleaning industry, it is one of the most tight knit industries I've ever noticed. So you probably have 6 to 7 other people popping in your brain that you've had these conversations with before that maybe they would get some value from this episode as well. So share it with them. Would love that. And because remember, as I've been saying this season so far, when you understand your money, you control your business, your growth, and your future. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye, friends.